22 languages, and we began working avidly on literacy, healthcare, and organizing peasant leagues. Well, concomitant with this, there was a rebel war going on that started in 1960 and ended in the mid-90s. Because of our work in the field, people began to refer to us as guerrilleros de paz, guerrillas of peace, because it was hard to distinguish sometimes between the guerrillas who were armed and those who were unarmed. Well, we were unarmed. But ultimately, the military put us together in their minds with the armed rebels, and many of us were expelled from Guatemala, including myself. At that time, the Catholic Church and the U.S. intelligence agencies were very, very close. The FBI was like Roman Catholic. Much of the CIA was Roman Catholic. J. Edgar Hoover liked Catholics because they knew how to do what they were told, and he learned to like them till the Berrigan brothers came along. And then he realized he couldn't trust them anymore, so he turned to the Mormons, who might do what they were told. So anyway, at that time, the agencies were very close with our superiors in New York. And as you might imagine, they were saying, what are these priests doing identifying with the rebels in Guatemala? This is a serious problem. So they told our superiors we were very much in league with the rebel movement. And by the time I got back to headquarters where I had been ordered, I was sent off to Hawaii, and I woke up there one morning, actually the morning after I got there, and realized I was under a gag order of no writing, no speaking, no working with students, forget everything that happened in Latin America. So the only logical question I had at that moment was, when's the next plane out of here? So I flew to Washington and spent 3 or 4 hours with the Washington Post and released all the information I had on Guatemala under the title of Guatemala, our Latin Vietnam. And that led to a rather bad relationship with the community until such time that I read in the Washington Post that I had unilaterally separated myself from the community. Well, that's fine. I suppose that was rather accurate, probably more accurate than most press. We find then a rabid opposition to liberation theology coming from where? Government and the press. If you will read the CIA torture manuals, you will find that the mercenary murderers in Nicaragua that were sent there, that Reagan called the moral equivalent of our founding fathers, were sent there to kill 40,000 Nicaraguans. They were told precisely to go after the liberation theologians. Why? They knew that the liberation theologians understood that you cannot be faithful to empire and faithful to Jesus. Absolutely impossible. Because you're not allowed to make a false god before you. You shall not have weird gods before you. And that's what we have. We have weird gods before us. This coordination of people is amazing because there's so much agreement among the base communities. It's what our great scholar Noam Chomsky would refer to as socialistic anarchism, because he sees coordination of the groups, but he sees actually decisions being made from the base. And this would be, for the first time, democracy. Now, what is the relationship of most people to their religion? The relationship is cult. Cult means you accept everything. Cult does not mean simply religion. It also means politics. If I accept everything my country does, I am in a cult. If I don't understand dissent, I'm in a cult. If I can't see the church doing evil things, I'm in a cult. I am not free because I do whatever the cult leader says. Very serious. So we want to broaden this understanding. Let it get deeper. The word religo, very interesting word in Latin, fascinating word. To bind and to cast aside. To relegate. What does your religion do? It relegates you to being a Presbyterian. You have relegated yourself to a particular binding. The interest in liberation theology is to unbind you. And here is where we look to John Lennon. Imagine no religion. What does that say? It says, unbind yourself. Your background, as mine, is Roman Catholicism. I love the background. I love the chants. I made a whole CD of chants. I love much of the culture. I will denounce the evil within. Then you're becoming free. The same applies to your country, for God's sake. You'd have to be blind not to see it. The father of peace studies, Johann Galtung, just came out with a marvelous work on the decline and fall of the United States. And he said, I love the American Republic. I hate the American Empire. He said, you're going to have to make up your mind which you are and make it up fast. If you don't have people capable of dissent, you're going to rot out. And that's the same in the church. What else did Chomsky say that's very, very important? He said, those that accept in this cult-like fashion are the biggest enemies of their country. At that time, he was speaking of Israel. He said, if you accept it in a cult-like fashion, you are the enemy of the future of that polity. And the same is true of the United States. If you're incapable of announcing the evil of torture, the evil of intervention, the evil of the goddamn drones, you are the enemy of the future of the United States. And that is where we're going. Do you see the picture? The relationship between church and state, the relationship between cult and thinking, the understanding of Einstein that those who see relationships are wise, those who are incapable of seeing relationships are dumb. Doesn't make any difference how much information they have. They fail to see the relationship. What, in evolution, I have eyes and ape has eyes. We have nothing in common. I have ears and ape has ears. We have nothing in common. Nothing, nothing at all. Nothing, nothing. That's the definition of ignorance. And the Buddhists would stress that when you use the word ignorance, they mean to ignore. I don't want to know. And I hear that almost every day in regard to the church and the state. Don't tell me about it. Why do you think pedophilia went so far? Clerical privilege. When did clerical privilege come apart? When did that happen? Well, you saw in the Acts of the Apostles, they were all together as one commune, one communistic whatever, commune. Then what happened? Well, a division came about. Some became monastic. The monastic people continued the commune. We see a division between laity and clergy. Big mistake. Very big, because clergy has privilege. Father is an alcoholic. Shh. Be very quiet. Don't tell anybody. Father is an alcoholic. Father is a pedophile. Move him to the next parish. No, I'm sorry. Silence is not a virtue. And this is what we're dealing with in both the polity and the religion. Okay. Sexual abuse is found in every walk of life. There's no question about it. Sexual abuse is found as a result of the law of celibacy, but it's primarily the result of clerical privilege, which is what? Exceptionalism. Now, does that sound interesting? We are exceptional. That's why we can torture you in the name of the Inquisition. We are exceptional. We're not like other people. We know the commandment says thou shalt not kill, but we get to kill because we're exceptional. Well, well, well. That is the United States in the endless period from World War II to the present, where we've killed easily over 10 million people without any right to do so. Exceptionalism. It stinks. It goes on in church and state. It's the exceptionalism that makes a pedophile. I am different. Triumphalism. We are the best. We are the brightest. We know more than others know. It's okay to abuse the young. Sexual abuse is a crime. It has not been dealt with in the clergy as a crime. I'm speaking of a civil crime. It's also the cover-up is a crime, even worse. The time has come to end both political and ecclesiastical exceptionalism. We've lived with both too long. We must build a commons where all are subject to law. We can build a religious commons where what you do is this. You don't say, look, filioque is right. Holy Spirit proceeding from the Father alone is wrong. No, no, you don't do that. You simply, in a spirit of reverence, say to the person you're talking to, tell me your sacred story. And you're indigenous and you're from British Columbia. And you're going to tell me how the raven created the world. And I'm going to listen to you. I'm going to say thank you for telling me your sacred story. I have a sacred story also, and I could share that with you. But what will we find in common? We would say to the Hindus who love to absorb all religions, is peace the way? They'd say yes. We'd ask the Buddhists that, they'd say yes. We'd ask Islam that, they'd say yes. Oh, everybody's able to say yes to what? To the fruits of the Holy Spirit. They can say yes. To some unintelligible dogma, they will do nothing but argue for the rest of their lives. Imagine no religion where we agree on the fruits of the Spirit.